Got a question? Ask Tom on HomeShow Radio.
This is HomeShow Radio live on Facebook and YouTube. Your questions, Tom's answers. Now here's Tom Tynan and Charlie Mosier.
And that means we got to start talking and acting and not everything but walking here at AskTom Live, because if I walk, then you won't see me and I won't be in front of the camera. So this is not live action movie, but this is home improvements to the max. Energy infused with wonderful information for you if you are a homeowner. I'm Tom Tynan. I answer people's questions. I've been in the construction business, goodness, all my life, from when I was a little kid, from what I can remember. And that's all I've been doing is helping people and building things. That's my life pretty much in a nutshell. But if you want to be a part of this show, you can certainly ask some questions here on our live broadcast. Or you can always listen to me on Sports Radio 610 in Houston, Texas, or on our website, homeshowradio.com. I'm on Saturdays 9 to noon and Sundays 8 to 11, as well as our very special warm-up person, the person that comes before me, our pre-act, you might say. I don't know if I got any of those right. But it's Dany Milliken from the Garden Pros. When it comes to gardening, nobody knows more. And he's going to be with us today also. And Charlie's somewhere in the background. I'm not sure where he's hiding right now. There he is.
EC, boss. Yeah, we've got a lot to cover today, too. We've got not only Tom and I here to help you. And by the way, just remember, we're here live. And trained professionals, as you can tell. But if
Old man phlegm.
Yeah, there it is. If you got questions, we want to help you about projects you're working on, you're stumped. Tom's the guy to ask. He's the guy, the builder, has been at it for forever, and he's got a lot of experience and helps people. He's been doing it on the radio for over 30 years. He can help you out. But for you, all you got to do is put your questions in the comments section underneath. They'll pop up here, and we'll share them and answer them. Plus, we have some that we've taken from our website, from homeshowradio.com. We also today, Tom, it's the last Thursday of the month, and before the month swills down the drain, we always reach out to somebody. It reminds us, it's as the month goes down the drain, to reach out to Dany Milliken to be with us.
Dany,
Hey,
going down the drain.
what's up, everybody? I'm
Hey,
back
I think your
up the
plant's
drain.
dying behind you.
It's fine.
It's fine,
Hey,
okay.
I like to think of the show as the Kid Brother Show to Home Show Radio.
The Kid Brother Show.
The Kid Brother Show.
Little-
Well,
cute
you're
little
the
bunny.
youngest one in the room, and you have hair on your face and your head.
Charlie has a goatee and a really nice head of hair.
Yeah, but you're the
at that.
youngest one in the room.
Right.
Okay, that's
I
fine.
might wager that
And you're
of
not
the-
white-haired yet.
Right.
Hair
Tom,
this
I
big.
might wager of the three of us, I have the most hair.
Oh,
Oh,
but
is
it's
that a
not
body
dark
comment?
hair.
Is that
Yeah, that's right. That's a follicle taunt right at you there. All right.
Whoa,
Okay,
that's
well, I
And
am
it-
going
and
off of this topic.
So we will. Yeah, that's right. So Dany, you hang on. We'll be back with you in a couple minutes, and Dany will be here. He's going to answer some gardening questions along with our home improvement questions. So you got questions about your garden, you got questions about your home or whatever, go ahead and put them in down in there, and we'll be able to help you out this morning. Tom, as last week we started our brand new What's News section here. We'll cover something here today that might be of interest.
What do we got?
Well, this past week, there's a new report that just came out from a housing research company called Zonda Media. They put this thing out every year, and it's their return on investment report that comes out every year on what all the top return on investment improvements you can make around your house is. And 11 of the top 12 are all exterior home improvements, with the exception of one interior one in the top 12. And I'm not going to ask you to guess which one it is, but it's probably the most obvious return on investment improvement you can make inside your home. You want to guess?
Okay. Well, are you talking about, it depends on the scope of the project. If you're talking about
Right.
a major room remodel, I'm going to assume it's a kitchen. Kitchens
You are
always
correct,
seem to
sir.
do that.
You
Okay,
are
thank
correct.
That's pretty steady. They don't need a whole Zonda
Right.
thing to do that. It's been around forever.
Well, sure. But, so here are some of the top categories they had in this report that came out this year, right? And they said the overall return on investment is about 60%, which is down from their last round in 2014 of 71%. So the return on investment has gone down a little, Tom, and I think that's probably has a lot to do with the pressure on the inventory that's going on with houses out there.
Listen, people are buying above market value for almost anything right now. They just need something, whether they're going to remodel it or not. If it's in the right location and they see some kind of potential, they won't wait to see 4 more or 5 more. They're going to say, here's the bid on it right now. It is that crazy when it comes to selling properties right now. I'm about to put one on the market next month, and I already have been getting tons of letters, and I haven't even put it officially on the market, and they're starting to bid up and bid up. And this one needs a total rehab. I'm not going to do a thing but as is, and it's still going to go above the taxable value in Dallas, Texas. It just astounds me right now.
Okay, I thought maybe it was up in Heathwick. I was like, oh, I hope not.
Heathwick? Where's that?
Or wherever.
It's
What is
Huntwick.
it? Huntwick.
He'll yell at the microphone. Huntwick. No, if I could get, I might. That one's not ruled out yet, but Dallas is first.
Well, here are the top 5 return on investments that came out there, and this one always comes out number 1. It's always the garage door, and
I find that amazing.
Yeah,
because it's return on investment.
Right.
Return on investment. See, somebody's going to give you more money for your house, and to be a garage door, I don't know who would think that would be a reason to buy a house for more money.
I think it has a lot to do with the fact of look at the cost to return ratio on there, right? How cheap a garage door is compared with, say, a roofing replacement, right? So it kind of, if you're looking at percentages, it's really the percentages work in the door's favor. But here's one for you. What do you suppose, Tom, was the one percentage-wise had the least return on investment in their survey? This one may surprise you.
I don't even know what to pick from. Windows, maybe?
Master Suite Edition. If you do an
the Master
addition
Suite
to your
Edition.
in addition to your Master Suite, they say that's the one that gives you the least return on investment. Yeah. Which is great news, because Sandy and I are in the middle of one.
Now I know where this is coming from.
All right. Well, if you are curious at all and you'd like to paw through this thing anymore, you go to zondamedia.com is where you can find that report and look on it. Next week, we are going to have some data we've got from Redfin about some of the most unbelievable statistics of home resale going on right now. That's what we'll have next week in our little...
I bet you it is amazing.
What's news?
Whatever's going on, yeah.
Oh, it's bizarre. It is. All right, so here we go. Let's get into some questions, Tom. I've got one here that's just come in to us from our buddy Jimmy John. He's always here coming for us, right?
Thank you,
actually,
Jimmy.
This one is for Dany. So let's bring Dany up. Let me bring his question back up here.
Hi, Dany.
he wants to know, I have a Meyer lemon tree in a container, and after the rains, I noticed these pustule-looking things on the stems leading up to each lemon. Are they plant zits? Do I need to pop them? They're yellow, round, or something like that. What say you?
Was that picture of the problem, or is that the Loch
No,
Ness
no.
Monster?
That's his picture. No, he's got. Let me bring that back up.
Okay,
here.
great.
No,
Cool.
I think what that is that was the Loch Ness monster swimming through a subdivision during Harvey.
Gotcha. Okay, good. Clarifying. Thank you for clarifying. So I'm not sure exactly what he's got going on. I mean, anytime we've got any bark kind of change or anything happening in the bark, that's a really bad sign. As most of you probably know, the blood flow in a tree happens just under the bark. So the xylem and phloem there are where all that happens. And so if there's bark damage, that usually means that there's kind of like blood vessel damage, if we think of human terms. But so anytime you got something going on near the fruit, under the bark, honestly, I would probably get some compost around the base and try to treat it with a root inoculant, something like Dakota Rev or Super Seaweed, something like that that's going to push growth, because you want to get as much new nutrients up into the branches as possible. It sounds like he's got lemon production. Didn't that sound like to you that there's lemon production?
Yeah, it sounds
like he said, yeah.
Yeah. He's wondering if it's some kind of scale or something that he's got to deal with.
Oh, I bet that's what it is. I bet that's what each of those pustules is probably a scale. So that's a little insect.
Yeah, sometimes the way
make a little,
people explain these things, they need to be careful. Okay.
the scale make a little protective shell. And so what you do is you get your pressure washer out, and citrus can take it. So just blast the pressure washer on there, and then follow up with some molasses. That's what I always suggest. It'll actually remove the scale, and they won't come back.
So molasses on the ground.
No, on the plant itself, like a foliar
really?
treatment with
Okay,
horticultural
brush it on?
molasses. Yeah, if you
No,
got
use
a
a sprayer.
Okay.
Brush it.
Yeah, there's hose-in sprayers. That's a great tool for a gardener. Just it's like got a little container. You put your liquid in there, and then the pressure mixes it for you.
Oh, you mean like we put the molasses down when we were doing the sod webworm thing that you had us do?
Yeah.
Okay, the same
Yes,
kind.
exactly.
All right. I know.
Yeah.
I know that I couldn't possibly know as much as Tom. That's why I'm the foil for his humor on these things.
Well, I had 13 fruit trees until Mother Nature killed them all during the freeze.
So, do
Danny
you have
has
a
been
question-
spraying
do you have a
molasses on
question
them for a long time.
Yeah. Do you have a question for Danny then about your trees, Tom?
He ripped them all out.
No, because
have
I
a
just
question for
planted
Tom.
2 Meyer lemons, but I think we have a question coming up about apples that I'm going to listen to. Am I not correct with that?
Yeah.
We do have an apple question coming.
in
So
fact,
instead of getting the answer twice, I'm going to wait for that question to come up because I'm going to listen intently.
Fair enough. Say hi to
Thank you.
Craig and Mary and Bubba. He's here.
Hey,
and
guys.
Kevin.
Glad y'all
I'm
are
wondering
here.
if this Kevin, there's a Kevin that's watching, Kevin McGee. I'm wondering if that's a guy I used to go to high school with up in New Hampshire. He seems to have nothing else to do, so he's watching the show here this afternoon. So Kevin,
Oh, the fighting albacores up
there
there.
it is. All right, so let's get to a question for you, Tom. This comes from the Ask Tom box here at homeshowradio.com.
Yes.
This is from John in Southwest, and he wants to know how common is the cracking or broken sewer pipe under the foundations in Houston, and what can cause this problem?
Well, the piece of the puzzle I don't have is what year the house was built. If the house was built in the 50s, early 60s, big problem. So very, very common at the age of the home as it is now because those were cast iron pipes and they rot away. It's not broken or cracked, but they'll just start to deteriorate in the ground over all those years. So in that sense, it's very common. If it's a newer home, let's say built in the last 25 years, not very common at all because it was all Schedule 40 PVC. And for that to crack or break would be very rare because it is such a strong pipe. Now, in the early 80s and late 70s, they used a black type pipe, which was kind of like, it wasn't a Schedule 40. I'm not sure what the schedule number on it was. It was used for a very short period, and they got kind of brittle, and some of those would crack, but I wouldn't say it's super common, but it's more common than the Schedule 40 and not as common as the old cast iron pipe that you saw back in the 50s and early 60s into the late 60s.
So the cause, I mean, obviously the causes will vary depending on the type of pipe, which varies by the age of the house and all that. I guess in a lot of cases, the ones we're hearing about are the older ones that are
I'm going to assume so.
rotting
And
through.
if it's if it's a cast iron pipe, it's just because it finally is rotting away. The walls get so thin because it just rusts away from the outside and the inside that eventually, usually the bottom of the pipe where the water flows through, it just eats it away and gets so thin that it'll start to develop holes. Not really cracks, but holes, and it'll start to pull mud up into it and do different things like that and dump water in the ground where a lot of people, like our certified Home Show Pro Due West Foundation Repair, finds a lot of the problems in the older homes because all that water went into that expansive soil and the soil's expanded. Now the black pipe that was used for a while, that would have to be some kind of big tree root or something like that. Some kind of movement to put so much pressure on there, it would go up, down, or eventually crack trying to fight whatever was pushing it around. The Schedule 40, the white pipe that people know when they go into the Home Depots and Lowe's now, that pipe sometimes will get a belly and then you'll get backups, but it won't usually create a crack or a hole.
And either one of them, any one of those situations, Tom, are they all eligible or will they all respond the same way to the cured in place pipe repair that say TDT does?
Not all of them, no. It depends. If you get the cast iron pipe where you have the sweeps coming down in the ground from the toilets, you have the P-traps underneath the showers that are built just down in the dirt, you can't really fix those. You have to literally dig in under the house, tunnel under there, and replace all the underground plumbing. And it can be quite extensive. Now, if it's a tree root or something that cracked it, or it depends, and you always have to have them come out and take a look at it. If it's a straight run and it just had some weird thing where it broke, then they could probably do that. But the old cast iron pipes that are rotting away, if it's real severe, it's going to be more than just putting a cast in place piece, because they have so many joints and bends and turns. That's where it gets difficult.
You remember you told me how the people came out and rewired your internet and got the problems all fixed?
Yes. No, I didn't. They're still working on it.
Yeah. Well, apparently so. They may be working on it right now. Anyway.
They're supposed to be working on it all week, actually.
Well, they're
rewiring the entire neighborhood.
They're running out of week. Or is this like, we're like the 16th week of our 8-week bathroom remodel right now? So maybe it's one of those 1-week projects like that.
Oh.
I got, by the way,
they're working on it.
I don't think I told you the exciting news that my birthday was on Tuesday.
Well, I knew that.
You know what I got for my birthday?
No.
I got a brand new underground utility service installation to my house. It was fantastic.
Well,
we woke up at 4:30 in the morning.
My birthday's coming up. Maybe I'll get an internet service for my birthday.
It could happen. Yeah, we woke up at about 4:20 in the morning, and Sandy said the generator's on. Now you can't hear it from where we are, but apparently the fan changed speed in the room, and that woke her up. And yeah. And so we come to find out that the low voltage line was of the two lines coming, one of them was off and had to be replaced. And then that wasn't enough. I like to do it right, so we also had to replace both our panels on the house. So it was fantastic.
Yo,
happy birthday!
Really? Yeah, no kidding. I'm glad you found panels, because right now some of them are 16 months out. You can't even get your hands on them. So
well, I know
I'm sure
people.
Will got them for you.
Yeah, I know people. In fact, you can know people too. But let's visit homeshowradio.com and wait a second. I scroll down and see right there. It says Right Touch Electrical. That's the guy. No. Anyway, so they can help you out anytime if you're looking for a pro. So hey, speaking of pro, we got a pro on board, and he's sitting there picking his nose. So let's see if I can catch him on camera. Nope, he stopped. All right, Dany, I got a question for you. Here comes one from Marion in South Houston. She says, can I trim my 2 large giant oak trees now in May?
Yes.
Thank you, Dany.
All right, Dany.
Well, I mean,
that's why I'm doing the show this weekend.
Honestly, though, I would avoid any major pruning in May on oak trees. You generally want to do that when it's cool, when there's very little stress on the tree. So March, February for live oaks, and then depending if it's a deciduous oak, I just have an oak right out the window I'm looking at. But if it's a deciduous tree, then right before it leaves back out. So again, early February, late January. May is not our time for a big remodel or a big trimming of that tree. Just keep that in mind. The whole idea of doing a big pruning before hurricane season is pretty overblown. A nice thick canopy is the thing that can protect you best against winds, because it's made to resist winds. If you open up that canopy, you can really kind of get winds coming through the backside of the canopy or underneath the canopy, and that's when you get really damage, big limb damage. So just keep that in mind. Is hurricane pruning is really not that big of a thing.
Yeah, I've heard that said that for years that was the thing. You want to go get your trees all thinned out for the hurricane, and that's not the fact.
No, it's a little scary to think about it. I mean, the tree spends all of its life growing up in these high winds, and it's made kind of a helmet, if you will, in that canopy shape to resist it. And you change that shape or you open it up, the wind's coming from inside the canopy, and that can really break a branch or topple a tree. So be very careful.
What about pruning in general? I mean, is this an okay time of year to want to prune back stuff, or do you want to wait till the end of the season, or?
Yeah, great question. That's a great question. So that does differ for all plants. So a lot of shrubby flowering plants, you can do a little shearing. So you're just taking off the top, 2-3 inches around the whole thing, almost like you're reshaping it. The cool thing that'll do is get you a whole new flush of flowers. So things like Camellia or Lantana, things like that you may have growing for the butterflies, you can give it a little kind of give it a little haircut there, get it a retrim, very small shear, and that will really help the plant a lot. So, but on these bigger plants, just kind of let them go until next season. So you can cut off a small branch here and there, but a big pruning, I would be very careful with a large giant. Mm-hmm. Remember, this is a giant oak tree, but it's a large giant. So it's like one of the bigger oak trees we've probably ever seen.
Okay. So I got one here for you from Jack. He's one of our regulars. Jack's good to have you with us here today. He says, I've got this weird fungus shedding on the barks of both my fruit trees and oak trees. Both look the same. It's like a light gray color and looks like feathers coming out of the bark. What is that, and how do I treat it? He says the first time he's ever seen it.
Okay, so it's one of two things. One is a lichen, and a lichen is a very kind of prehistoric plant. It's not a plant, and it's not a fungi, but it does grow on bark, and it's one of the very few things that can grow on both a citrus and an oak. And they're generally not doing a whole lot. They're kind of delving into the very top layer, but for an anchor, they're going to get some minerals, but they're really getting everything they can from the air. And so I wouldn't worry too much about that. If it's really bothering you, just pick it off or scrape it off with something. Or if you want to blast it off with that pressure washer, you're welcome to do it. The other thing that can kind of look like feathers is a kind of caterpillar called woolly bear, and or asp. It's a very painful caterpillar. It looks just like a feather. If you see it growing on a tree, and before you touch it, poke it with a stick to make sure it's not, because this is like people have gone to the hospital because these things hurt so much. So it's just the asp caterpillar, a little gray caterpillar that looks just like a feather.
Mm-hmm. I went out a couple weeks ago on a little photo safari out to Joshua Tree National Park.
Oh, cool.
So it's one of the dark sky national parks. We were taking pictures of the astral stuff overhead. And we saw cacti out there. This big field of cactus is a cactus garden out there. And it was one of these things, you walk through it, and it's like, you just get near them, and it's like those things will jump out. The things will.
Oh, wow.
You have to keep a distance. And we did real good keeping off. We got back to the car, and we look at our shoes. Our shoes are like furry from all the ones that our shoes had picked up. We had to spend time pulling them out of our shoes before we came in. So.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, luckily we don't have those around here, right, Tom?
Yeah, sure. Not
right.
a big fan of
That is
cactus.
lucky.
Yeah, all right. So I got one other one from the Ask Tom box for you, Tom. Here comes one from, that's John. We already got John. Get here.
We already got him.
Barb from the Woodlands says, our house was built with a recirculating pump, and the freeze this year killed this 17-year-old pump, and I voted we replace it because we have to wait too long for hot water, and it seems so wasteful letting it run. But my husband was told by a friend that the pumps are a fire hazard and are not necessary. Any thoughts? I hate wasting water and money, but I'm tired of cold showers, she says.
I think the friend needs to get something else to do. No, it's not a fire issue at all. So here's what we got. Replace the pump. No fire issue. Fix everything the way it was, and you'll be fine. Simple answer on this one.
Those recirculating pumps are great because it means.
Yeah, I've never heard of one starting on fire in my whole career.
No,
So.
no, but and you can't you put them on a timer too, so they're not even running all the time.
Of course, or you can even put them on a button where you touch the button, and within 15 seconds it recirculates everything, and you're ready to turn the water on. So there's lots of ways to put them in, and I think she was probably really happy with the way it worked before the freeze. And so I would say call Abacus Plumbing if you're in Houston, replace it, or whoever your plumber is, and get it back in line. There's no fire hazards, and something doesn't sound right with that story. Somebody's trying to save $1.
Yeah. Wonder if her husband put somebody up to that.
Yes.
Just tell her it'll start a fire.
All right. Hey,
That's all I got to say about that.
And by the way, if you got questions, you want to put something, go ahead and put them in the bin down below and in the comment section, and we'll do it. And look, we got one right here. And Tom, this is something maybe you can help Dany with. He says, a guy named Chad writes into us, Dany's closet door looks like it's falling off the hinges. Tom, who should he call to fix something like that?
Ooh, I didn't notice that. That doesn't look good, Dany. He doesn't care. Okay, Dany, here's what the plan is. We need a big pot and a tall tree that will cover the door.
Problem
Nice.
solved.
Fixed.
There we go. I
Fixed.
just bought some door hinges, and I just need to put it on there. So
I love it when people say, I bought the hinges. When did you buy them? Oh, it was about 6 months ago.
Yeah,
right.
That's
Yeah.
great. Yay.
before the freeze.
Halfway there.
Right. Or the ones like, we've had the guy out to fix it 6 times.
Yeah, he fixed it and then it wasn't it was broken again.
Right.
No, it's not
Exactly.
fixed.
All right, Dany, here's another one for you. Steve in
here's what
Sienna
I'm looking
Plantation says, I'm looking for an organic, non-toxic option for protecting my young apple trees from insects. Any suggestions for him?
Absolutely. This is one of those questions that a lot of people think that they have to protect their insects with a spray from the outside. And nothing is going to work better than great soil and thriving roots. And with an apple tree, the way to avoid the other side of that, kind of poor growing roots, is by planting it too deep. If you plant your apple tree too deep, you will get insects on it. You'll get anything from whitefly to plum curculio to a lot of different things, aphids all over the place if you plant it too deep. And so if you've got a young tree like that, you want to make sure it's a couple inches above the ground around it and just keep that mounted up with compost, because that's the other way to build plant resilience. All the plants out there have a really natural resilience to insect pests, to disease pressure, and the best way to do it is to improve their soil. So this has kind of been practiced and over by NASA on the space station. If they want healthier plants, they improve the soil. And so they're growing vegetables up there, which is really cool. Not apples yet. And so if you're really worried about a current infestation, 2-step thing: compost around the roots, and then get some molasses all over the leaves. So molasses and another thing called horticultural oil. Those two kind of taking turns every other month will really keep bugs off. But you don't even have to do that if you're just really focusing on soil health.
You're taking notes, Tom?
Man, it was beautiful.
He's
Yes.
not. I can see.
Yeah.
I mean, he's on the screen right there. He's not
Yeah.
writing anything.
He's actually watching. He's trying to catch up on his TikTok videos right now.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. He's like, sheesh.
No, but yeah, I hear you talk about that. I mean, it's like could be a drinking game listening to you on the radio. How
really
many?
could.
How long is it going to be before Dany says the word compost?
It's not very long.
Not long.
All those 7 to 9 a.m. Saturday morning heavy drinkers will absolutely love this. They're going
That's
to
it.
be.
Well, except it's
Yeah.
it's a coffee drinking game, so it's like
That's right. Oh, I
So-
finished my coffee.
No, but seriously, you talk about this a lot about how soil health is so important. Expand on that. Why? Because I mean, it makes sense when you've heard the show. But if somebody is
Sure.
unfamiliar with it, I have a little trouble with the nouns and verbs here today. Explain why that is.
Well, if we think of all the things that we do to encourage plant growth, right? We water, we put down nitrogen fertilizer, we put down mineral packs, we till the soil, we aerate the soil, we do all these things. Well, when it comes down to it, who does that for the old growth forests? Who does that for the native grasslands? Like, nobody's doing that. The biome in the soil, the actual microbial life that our earthworm food is kind of what it is. They are stirring the soil up. They're mining resources to bring to the plant, and they're adding tons of nitrogen in their body. And so everything that we really need to get out of the soil, we can provide by compost, because compost is this very nitrogen-rich, very carbon-rich, living material that we can put down. And so it's such a great thing to do because it opens up the soil. You're aerating out there with your machine, You know, if you're out there doing it today, you're sweating like crazy, and you're not doing half the job that just a compost top dressing could do. So nobody tills soil better than earthworms. Earthworms eat bacteria, so I should add bacteria. I mean, it kind of adds some sense to it. There's also no creature on the planet that has more nitrogen than bacteria. And so if I can add this one thing that tills the soil and nitrogen fertilizes, I should do that. And that's where compost comes in, because compost is very bacteria rich.
We have a lot of questions I want to get to, but I just want to ask you, so that's how I air out my soil. What about these machines that supposedly aerate my soil? Is that a bad way to aerate?
Generally, that is an effective way to aerate for about 2 weeks. And so after 2 weeks, most of that functional aeration is gone. And so, does that answer your question?
Well, it does it. So is
it's
it
a
actually
great thing
damaging?
to do for 2 weeks.
Is it going to
No.
damage all that community that you're building in the soil then?
No, it's not going to help it. It kind of just adds air to space that didn't have air. And air is great because it has oxygen in it and it has carbon. And those little entities in there do like the oxygen that's in the air.
Mm-hmm.
And now the thing about it is that when we aerate, we're making little holes in the soil, and ideally we're putting something into it like compost. And then when we do that, it's really a lot more beneficial than just aerating, because all you're doing is kind of compacting it. And you know, another thing, if you listen to the show all the time, we have somebody calls in with a lawn question. They're dealing with compaction. You know, they've got Virginia buttonweed or dichondra or dollarweed. It's almost universally compaction. St. Augustine is kind of struggling to grow. Compaction. Fungal problems, compaction. So another thing, what helps with compaction the most? Compost top dressing. So it's just like, it really is kind of funny, because if you've got good compost, you can do a lot of kind of repair outside.
Well, speaking of compaction, Tom, here's one for you about foundations. I don't know.
Ooh.
Wait, my phone's ringing.
Oh, very important call. Hang on, folks.
I wonder who it
Hello.
is.
Goodbye. Okay, I'm back.
Oh, okay, great. All right. Mr. President, I'll have to get back to you.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't even
All
know
right.
that.
Sell.
Here's JD in Sugarland. Says, I have a water leak in my foundation. Should I hire a leak detection company to pinpoint where the leak is, or have someone isolate the leak by cutting holes in sheetrock? What's the most cost-effective solution for this, Tom? I don't understand where sheetrock and foundation leaks would connect, but maybe you do.
Exactly right. No, that's what I'm looking at this. It depends where the hole is. If you need to cut some sheetrock because you have a hole in your pipe in a wall, then yeah, you'd cut the sheetrock. It'd be very cost effective. But if it's in the foundation and you're cutting holes in your sheetrock, it's probably not going to be very effective. The bottom line is you got to get a plumber in there to find out where the leak is. And they have ways of doing it. It's not a leak detection company. That's if you have a swimming pool or something and it's leaking out in the yard, you can't figure out where it's going. Those are the kind of leaks they look for in industrial situations. But when it comes to just a home under slab, then you know what? You're going to have to get a plumber to isolate where the leak is and then move the pipes around. I can tell you this, under a slab, it should have no joints. It should go from point A to point B with usually a copper tube that has no joints in it. And then when it comes through the slab, if there's a leak, it's usually right there where it's coming through the slab if you get a leak at all. So if it's truly under a foundation and it's a supply line, then you got to call a plumber. If it's a drain line, then the plumber will do a different test. It's called a hydrostatic test, where they'll fill the drains with water, put a clear riser out in the yard and see if it goes down. And then they can run a camera in it to find out where that leak might be. First they make sure it is a leak, and then they'll run a camera to find it. But as far as supply lines, it's troubleshooting it, but a leak detection company is not the answer. And just cutting holes in the wall doesn't make sense either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have people who've built entire businesses on leak detection, but at the end of the day, you want the guy fixing the foundation to be finding that if there is in fact a leak under
If it's
the ground.
under the ground and there's a foundation problem, like Due West, they'll tunnel under there, they'll
Sure.
support the foundation, they'll replumb everything, and then backfill it, and it's done. It's
Sure.
expensive, but unfortunately it has to be fixed. But the fact of the matter, should I go under the ground or start putting holes in the sheetrock? That's kind of a weird question because you have to get to the leak. So find the leak first and then decide whether you have to put holes in the sheetrock or you have to dig a hole.
And that was a birthday present a couple of years ago.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, I love it. I love my birthday presents. It's awesome.
Yes.
So, all right. Danny, got one more for you here, buddy. Hang on a second. Where is it? Here we go. Robert in League City says, what would work best on my lawn? I detached my sprinklers for most of this year. I also went through and put compost on it, as you would have him do. I have been following a strict fertilizer schedule. The lawn is lush and green, but it has been showing signs of a fungus, and I see some yellow and possible gray spots on blades in different parts of the lawn. What say you, Mr. Green?
This is where, if it weren't for this question, I would have kind of rung the lawn alarm already, but we're going to do it now. So you go ahead and, Charlie, hit the alarm button sounder.
Nice.
Do you have there? Okay, so that's
a heck of an alarm.
That's the alert.
Wait, hang on a second. Would this be a better one here?
The clowns just came in.
Here it
you
is.
have so many clown noises.
That's the lawn effect.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Okay,
Yeah,
that was it. Yeah, that was it. The lawn alarm has been rung. So with the freeze and with this rain, we are going to have the nastiest brown patch and gray leaf spot and fungal problems in the lawn that we've ever had. And so if you're someone who's fertilizing their lawn, whatever you're using, let that be your last bag of the summer and early fall and switch to Microlife Brown Patch. I'm not kidding. It will save the day. It has an inoculant that actually eats the fungus that is causing your diseases. So you can just go ahead and put something down now, start layering it on there. It's also a really great fertilizer, so it's not like you're losing on the fertilizer front. You can literally stymie the fungal problems that you're going to have. This rain is the perfectly timed rain, and there was so much of it. And so, man, get out there and get that brown patch and get it out in the lawn.
So you put that down way ahead of it before it starts almost like the whole pre-emergent thing. You're going to get out and get it before it happens.
Yeah, it's like this invading army is coming, and so you're getting the troops ready. Tom knows about it. He's
we know all about invading armies in Texas, so yeah, we're familiar with this.
Oh,
that's right.
I was going to say, yeah, Microlife works because I know all about that. I use it on everything. So, yes.
Yeah, it works on everything, and my dogs love it.
When you look at the ingredients, it's like a dog treat list.
Yeah,
I know it has oregano in it.
Yeah. Does it have oregano in it, Danny?
I think I saw oregano.
That's the Agrolon.
Oh, the
Agrolon.
okay.
Oh, no wonder my pizza was tasting funny.
Right, yeah, stop using the Microlife, Tom.
That says organic is the word you're reading.
All right. Hey, Danny, I appreciate you coming by and being part of the show here this afternoon. Are there any general tips for people right now? Like you're saying, we got to protect our lawn right now against the coming brownness that will be following the freeze and all that. But the good news is we probably won't have sod webworms this year after that freeze.
I mean, they do underground their eggs, so I'm not too hopeful about that. By the time we have no. By the time we have a big infestation,
I thought the hard freeze that would do it, and we sure had one.
Yeah. We can hope.
Yeah, Charlie, it doesn't freeze the ground here deep enough to hurt anything.
Right.
Like in northern climates, to put basements, you have to get below a freeze line. It could be 3 feet in the ground. But even when Houston has that freeze, Danny, maybe you can add a little bit, but it might be a top half inch or so that would really be affected down into the dirt. It stays a pretty consistent 76 degrees or right in there. So it's hard to kill anything deep.
So we're gonna have brown patch. We're gonna have sod webworms. We're gonna have cicadas.
Gophers,
feral hogs, dogs living with cats.
We're definitely going to have really, really bad brown patch. That I know. Yeah. So usually you don't have a bad sod webworm year after a bad sod webworm year. And that's really what we've got going for us. But I just, whatever you can do. So, You asked for general tips. Right now, people are really battling tropical armyworms on their tomatoes. A lot of snail and slug damage, and so BT for those tomatoes. And while you're spraying your BT, go ahead and put it on the lawn. There's no reason you can't get it out there. You can stymie a first generation of sod webworm if you are worried about that. For the slugs and snails, I've seen a lot of pictures of snail damage, and it's kind of like you freeze or you suck the life out of a plant is what they do. It's kind of wild. And so Sluggo, a company called Monterey, makes this really cool, same one that makes Consan 20, Tommy, you talk about, but they make a great product called Sluggo, and it stops slugs and snails. And the water does not get rid of it like the beer you might put out there. Plus, don't waste.
I was going to say Budweiser. What about that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No Budweiser?
It's like
So
30,
we used
30
to use
minutes
for
of
slugs
protection.
and put little pie tins out with beer in it.
That's what they used
I mean,
to
just
do.
drink that. Just drink that.
Oh, we came.
Or
We
right
did
out
that.
with
Then we
some
came,
salt.
found people camping out behind the garage. Okay, we're not doing that
Yes.
anymore.
They're sipping on the little saucers. Hey guys.
Yeah,
this is
that's it.
great. Yeah.
All right.
So
Well,
those are
Today,
two big
it
ones.
Might
Okay.
happen today.
So those are two.
The
You got a
last
third?
one is mulch. Yeah, the last one is you got to mulch. Or if you've already mulched, just check your mulch to make sure it's not running out. The worst thing we can do for our gardens is just bare soil. That's when it turns to dirt. The rain, the heat, the sun will all kind of eliminate the protection that it's got. So just keep your mulched, especially for summer.
Cool. So we will. So mulch, BT, and the brown bag, microlife. Is what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just.
Okay, Charlie.
I wanted to repeat it in case Sandy hadn't written down. She's probably on her way right now to go get it. But but anyway, but no.
Charlie, the new T-shirt. The new T-shirt for Dany is "Keep your mulch mulched."
I like that.
Right across the chest.
I like that.
Or
That and soil microbes are cool.
or thank you very much.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Thank
Oh,
you very
thank you
much.
very much.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Listen to the
much.
Garden
Oh,
Pro.
I like that.
All right.
Rick.
All right,
sure no
Dany,
one's done
thank you
that.
for being here with us this afternoon, today.
Yeah,
Whenever
thank you,
whenever
guys.
somebody's watching this thing, I mean, and if they're this far into it, God knows they've got nothing to do. But we appreciate we appreciate you being with us. And Tommy got a couple more questions, but just in case you want more of what you've just experienced, this is where you want to go. Saturday mornings, you'll find Dany and that retinue of garden gurus gathered around the microphone helping you. They are the Home Show Garden Pros, and they're on the air every Saturday morning from 7 to 9 on Sports Radio 610. Or go to homeshowgardenpros.com, homeshowgardenpros.com. That's where you find Dany. And if you can't find it, go to Home Show Radio. You scroll down, there's a link that'll take you over there. But that's the deal. We're a
That's how I
sister
listen
show.
to it.
That's good.
That's how I
We
listen
need-
to it. Yeah.
We need every click we can get, so I appreciate that, Dany.
Yeah, it'd be awkward if I was listening to it while I was,
All right. Well, and I'm looking forward. I guess in July you're doing your show from Phoenix, right?
Yeah, I'll be there doing some hiking, visiting some family. So that'll be good.
I appreciate
We'll
your
check out
commitment.
all the cacti and boulders that we can.
Appreciate your commitment to doing it, buddy. Thank you so much, and I'm sure everybody in the garden world appreciates you too. And look forward to catching you this Saturday on the show.
Thanks, Dany.
All right, so let's. We got a couple more, Tom, for us to get through. Some more questions, and then if anybody has some more, they can feel free to put them in because that's why we're here. Here comes one from Nicole in Northwest. She says her water heater pilot keeps going out. What is causing this? I seem to remember you saying something about summer weather causes this problem.
Well, if you get into August and it's in the attic and the attic is super hot, then the pilot will get starved of oxygen and it'll go out. So people have to put roof vents next to the water heater so it can feed fresh air into it. It can happen in a closet too. But this time of year, that wouldn't be happening at all. There wouldn't be any problem. We're not getting that kind of hot weather. I'm talking about really hot August, early September weather. Right now, if there's just a mechanical problem, it's called the thermal couple. The thermal couple can go bad. It's a small little wire that can be replaced if that's all it is, if the water heater is new enough to justify some mechanical work on it. A plumber can do it for you very easily, clean the burners, make sure it's all working right. but that would be usually the problem is a thermocouple. The bigger problem, if it becomes the gas valve that's full of dirt, most of the time to replace a gas valve on an older water heater, it's time just to get a new one. Rare, but it happens, so they'll have to troubleshoot it. But most cases, the thermocouple, which believe it or not, the part itself, well, one time was about $2.99. Today it's probably $50,000. But I'm sure it's still more affordable than, say, a 2x4. So you should be okay.
but not quite as cheap as length of wire, because that's the one.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the one that's gone up the most. I think it's like 700%. So
Yeah.
in fact, that panel job yesterday cost us also almost $1,000 more than when they quoted it earlier this year. And I think, and the reason it was only $1,000, I think Will was at Right Touch was taking good care of us, but. Still.
Yeah, and there's going to be a point coming up in the next 60 days where, Charlie, you kind of made a joke at the beginning, you knew somebody. Even if you know somebody in about 60, 90 days when it comes to electrical things like just single pole switches, breaker panels, breakers themselves, it doesn't matter who you know. They just will not be available. We're still going to hit rock bottom on that trend, even though the lumber's starting to come down. The electrical devices are going to be an issue, and then we'll start coming back more available probably after the first of the year.
Well, and I see where it's a matter of the precious metals and the petroleum and the trucking and all the other challenges that's creating this. I saw a guy on CNBC, and then the next day I read an article in Forbes about this, about the supply chain interruptions that have caused this more than anything else. And then on top of that, we were already under stress because of all the people staying home from COVID and doing projects around their house had already created escalated demand. And then when the economy opened up, it exploded. And that's why we are where we are in this. There's a concept in supply chain management called the bullwhip, where when demand suddenly comes up, it takes a while for the supply to follow it. And then it comes down, and it's kind of why for months you would have to meet somebody in an alley to buy toilet paper, and now they've got it going 4 cases high down the middle of the store because it's doing this. So, but
Now,
what my understanding is, though, that the
Yeah,
supplies, what I read was we're not going to see the supply chain come back to normal in building supplies until 2023.
Yeah, that's about right. It's going to be normal again, yes. I agree with that. I totally see that happening. There's another thing. There are other countries that build a lot of parts and pieces for electrical supplies, and one of them is India. India is going through a terrible COVID disaster right now, and their country is shutting down. The resins and stuff are all made there. We should feel very lucky that the U.S. is on an upswing from the COVID, and the vaccines are available to us, because in those countries, the people can't afford them. They can't get their hands on them, and now they're going through these big disasters again, these terrible things.
Kidding.
And that's shutting the supply too, because they are an important supplier of all kinds of goods throughout the world economy.
Yeah, we are one big community now, and that's, even if we brought all the manufacturing back to America, there would still be components coming on ships from other places for us to make things, because that's just not how things work anymore. And you can wish for that.
And it didn't for a long time, since World War II, and we bust, Japan and Germany. I mean, we have been building this worldwide economy for almost 100 years.
Yeah. I mean, you can wish for it to be like it used to be, but you'd sound like me talking about the way radio used to be.
Yeah, me too. I'll talk that way.
Yeah, whatever.
Yes.
And my kids.
Okay.
This morning I tried emailing something to my daughter, and it bounced back. I said to her, "Hey, my email came back. What's the deal?" She said, "You doing this?" I had one letter missing in her address. And she says, "Dad, do you want me to come over and reset the internet for you too?"
Nice.
I said, "Could you do that?"
Okay.
All right. Last question for you today, Tom, comes from Vernon in Houston. He says, "I'm looking to purchase a portable generator and wondering if you have brand suggestions or ones that work best." He wants your advice. And I know we both have Kohler generators and our buddies at KISS Generators, but I'm sure you have more to say about it than that.
Well, but he says portable, and Charlie, yours and I are not portable generators. So if he's looking for a whole house emergency backup system, whether it's as big as yours or a little more modest like mine, the Kohler line is fantastic. And you got to make sure you have the service plans and the maintenance done on it. And I know you have great results with yours, and I do too. If you have one of the other brands, you still got to do the maintenance and keep them going. But the Kohler brands for the whole house ones are great. Now, when you get into portable ones, the smaller ones that run on gasoline, that's a little different. And if that's what they're talking about, the industry has always been probably more reliant on the Honda generators as opposed to all the other ones out there. And there's a bunch of them, and you can buy no-name brands and the Briggs & Stratton engines on there, and it's a pretty simple device, but those Hondas are incredibly dependable and more quiet, at least with my experiences. So if you wanted to buy a really good portable generator like we use on job sites, or you could use under, quick emergencies at your home to supply some things, I'd take a look at the Hondas, because even the refurbished ones, they're just built really well.
Mm-hmm. And they have a new one out right now. There's a new Honda generator out there that is so quiet, you can be standing next to it and not know it's running.
I just saw the whole history of Mr. Honda, and it was fascinating after World War II, where he built this company. But anyway,
if you want to see something fun about Honda, go on to YouTube and search Impossible Dream. And there's a video on there that I think it's Robert Goulet sings it. It's singing The Impossible Dream. And it's a progression from little mini motorbike up to jet boats, to hot air balloons, all the other things that Honda's been in over the years. It's a great little video for you. So, all right. Well, that is all the questions we have this week, Tom. I know you and I are going to wrap this up, and we're going to stay offline here and record a whole bunch of Ask Tom videos, because Tom likes us to post a new one every day, because we like to help you with projects around your house. And if you'd like to get in on that, go over and click on that blue Ask Tom button over there and fill out that form and send it in, and we'll be able to answer. What's that? He's gone already. Look at Dany. He's
I know, I like the hair silhouette. It's nice.
Yeah, see, I think what happens, whatever is in his closet came out. But anyway, whatever took that door off. Anyway, but that was
a great backdrop.
But he has two teenage daughters.
Great backdrop.
He has two
Dany.
teenage daughters. I don't want to hear the story. But anyway, but go ahead and send your questions. Be happy to take them. And of course, Tom will be on the radio this weekend.
Yep. Saturday 9 to 12 and Sunday 8 to 11 on Sports Radio 610. Of course,
and he will
Dany,
be
Saturday 7 to 9.
Yep, 7 to 9. The Garden Pros will be on, and we'd be happy to hear from you. By the way, if you're looking for pros, people you can trust in the Houston area, visit homeshowradio.com. Excuse me. You'll find all of our pros right there on our homepage. And if you're not sure what pro you're looking for, but you know what help you need, we have them organized by category there for you as well. And that'll help you get around and get things done. And we are done, and we'll be back again next Thursday at 4 o'clock Central Time. If you're coming in late, you want to see this, you don't want to wait till next week, we rebroadcast this Friday nights at 9 o'clock. And so if you're watching this Friday night at 9 o'clock, this was recorded.
And you had nothing else to do. That's okay.
Or you just wanted to feast on the sumptuous banquet of knowledge that is any time you get to spend with Tom Tynan. So we will see you next week. Thanks for watching.
Got a question? Ask Tom on Home Show Radio. Home Show Radio. Free advice from a pro who knows. Home Show Radio. Home Show